Picture this. You walk onto a modern construction site and step into a half-finished residential living room. You smell the fresh drywall dust hanging in the air. You feel the hum of the climate control kicking on. You see the perfectly plumb, 90-degree corners cut by laser-guided saws, the standardized framing, the insulated walls. It feels safe. It feels permanent. In our modern world, we are practically raised on the absolute certainty that human history is a one-way freeway headed straight up. We are taught that progress moves in a perfectly straight, predictable line, from cavemen banging rocks together, straight to smart homes and aerospace engineering. We assume we are standing at the absolute peak of human intelligence. But if you actually dig into the dirt in a few specific isolated corners of the globe, that comfortable, arrogant illusion shatters completely. Today, we are looking at 7 ancient technological anomalies that break the laws of history. These are not internet myths. These are physical objects sitting in museums right now, possessing levels of mathematical precision and metallurgical genius that simply shouldn't exist. And when you realize what they imply about the fragility of our own society, it is enough to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Let's start deep underground, beneath the scorching sands of Egypt, in a subterranean labyrinth known as the Serapeum of Saqqara. Mainstream history tells us the ancient Egyptians were masters of the copper chisel and the stone hammer, but the Serapeum tells a violently different story. Down in these claustrophobic pitch-black tunnels sit 25 massive lid-topped boxes made of solid rose granite and diorite. Each box weighs up to 100 tons. That is the weight of a commercial passenger jet, carved from a single block of stone and maneuvered through underground hallways, so narrow 2 people can barely walk shoulder to shoulder. But the weight isn't what messes with your head, it's the precision. When modern aerospace engineers measured the inside of these boxes, they found perfectly flawless 90-degree angles. The surfaces are polished to an optical flatness with a tolerance of 2/10,000ths of an inch. That kind of microscopic perfection today requires massive, computer-guided CNC machines. You cannot achieve that tolerance by hitting a rock with a softer piece of copper in the dark. From the underground depths of Egypt, let's travel to the freezing, thin air of the Bolivian Andes to a site called Puma Punku. Sitting at an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet, textbooks claim it was built 1,500 years ago. Your eyes will tell you a completely different story. The ruins are littered with massive, interlocking stone structures known as H-blocks, carved out of solid andesite. Let's be brutally honest. Andesite is an unforgiving, insanely hard volcanic rock that destroys modern diamond-tipped drill bits. Yet, if you run your bare hand along the inside grooves of these H-blocks, it feels like smooth glass. They feature perfectly straight lines and parallel scoring marks, the exact forensic fingerprint of a mechanized power tool. Furthermore, these blocks are modular. They were designed to interlock perfectly with one another, like a giant, mass-produced set of stone Legos. You cannot get this kind of standardized geometric perfection by manual labor alone. How did a culture that allegedly didn't even have the wheel manage to machine volcanic rock like a modern fabrication plant? Now, let's drop down into the sweltering, mosquito-choked jungles of Costa Rica. In the 1930s, work crews hacking through the dense rainforest stumbled into something that genuinely plays tricks on your mind. Hidden in the overgrowth were hundreds of solid stone spheres, known as the Defy spheres. Some are the size of a bowling ball, others are massive, 15-ton behemoths. If you have ever tried to draw a perfect circle by hand, you know exactly how unforgiving the math is. Now imagine executing that math in real life, with a 30,000-pound boulder in the middle of the humid rainforest. To get a stone sphere this geometrically flawless, you practically need a giant industrial-grade lathe, turning the rock on a fixed axis. But historians claim these were just pecked into shape, slowly using smaller rocks. Try to wrap your mind around the sheer psychological willpower it would take to peck a 15-ton rock into a mathematically perfect sphere without ruining the entire project. Worse, the quarry for this rock was miles away, across completely unpaved, mountainous jungle terrain. They didn't just calculate the perfect math, they transported it through an impossible landscape. Let's pause for a second. Look around the room you are sitting in right now. Knock your knuckles against the wood of your desk. It feels incredibly solid, right? It feels like it is going to be here forever. But how long do you actually think our current technology would survive if the grid went down tomorrow? If humanity vanished, how long before your phone, your car, and your house dissolve into unrecognizable dust? Drop your best guess in the comments. Let's see who is the most optimistic about our modern permanence. Speaking of permanence, let's look at something that absolutely refuses to decay. We are teleporting to the bone-chilling altitudes and biting winds of the Himalayas. Back in the 15th century, a brilliant engineer and monk named Thangtong Gyalpo built over 50 suspension bridges over some of the most terrifying mountain gorges on Earth. The drop is dizzying, but it's his material that makes your brain hurt. Heavy forged iron chains. In the brutal, wet, freezing climate of the Himalayas, raw iron should turn to flaky orange dust in decades. Yet, over 600 years later, some of his original chain links are still hanging there, unrusted, unbroken, defying the laws of chemistry. When modern metallurgists put these links under a mass spectrometer, they realized these ancient blacksmiths had somehow forged a hyperpure iron alloy with a specific ratio of phosphorus, creating a natural self-healing layer that resisted oxidation. In the West, we didn't figure out how to mass-produce weathering steel like that until the 20th century. How did a guy in a mountain monastery casually out-engineer the modern industrial steel industry? From the mountains of the Himalayas, we traveled to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. In the year 1901, sponge divers off a small Greek island called Antikythera found a 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck. Among the rotting wood, they pulled up a corroded, calcified lump of bronze. Decades later, scientists put it under high-resolution X-ray tomography, and their jaws hit the floor. Hidden inside was a complex system of 37 interlocking gear wheels. It wasn't a toy, it was an ancient analog computer designed to track the precise movements of the sun, the moon, and the planets. Here is where the math gets absolutely terrifying. The moon's orbit is elliptical, meaning it speeds up and slows down. To account for this, the ancient Greek inventor used an epicyclic differential gear system, utilizing complex prime number ratios to accurately model the moon's acceleration in the sky. This level of mechanical engineering officially did not appear in human history until the invention of clockwork in Europe 1,500 years later. It is the equivalent of finding a functioning laptop buried in the mud of the Middle Ages. If ancient computers blow your mind, let's talk about ancient electricity. In 1936, workers excavating the ruins of a village near Baghdad, Iraq, unearthed a small, unassuming clay jar. Inside was a rolled copper cylinder, and suspended right in the center was a single iron rod. The top of the jar was sealed tight with a plug of asphalt. The director of the National Museum of Iraq recognized it instantly. It was a galvanic cell, a battery. When modern scientists built exact replicas and filled them with a mildly acidic liquid, like grape juice or vinegar, the 2,000-year-old device produced a steady electrical current of 1 to 2 volts. Wire a few of these jars together, and you have enough power to electroplate gold onto silver, completely rewriting the history of metallurgy. We are taught in school that Alessandro Volta invented the battery in the year 1800, but the Baghdad battery suggests he just rediscovered a secret buried in the Iraqi dirt for 2 millennia. A society that harnesses electrochemistry is taking its first steps toward the modern grid. Our 7th and final piece of technology doesn't exist anymore. Why? Because the empire that encountered it was too utterly terrified of what it would do to the economy to let it survive. Picture ancient Rome during the dark and paranoid reign of Emperor Tiberius. According to Roman historians, an unnamed inventor walked into the throne room, carrying a drinking bowl made of a revolutionary material he called vitrum flexile, flexible glass. The inventor suddenly hurled it with all his might onto the solid marble floor. You expect the violent sound of glass shattering? Instead, there was a dull thud. The glass merely dented, exactly like a cheap aluminum can. The inventor calmly reached into his robes, pulled out a small hammer, and tapped the dent right back out. Tiberius broke out in a cold sweat. He asked the inventor if anyone else knew the chemical formula. The inventor proudly smiled and said no. Tiberius immediately ordered his guards to behead the man and burn his workshop to ashes. Unbreakable glass would have instantly tanked the value of Roman gold and silver, collapsing the empire's economy. It wasn't until the year 2012 that a massive American technology company developed a bendable willow glass for smartphone screens. It took the human race 2,000 years to claw our way back to what one unnamed craftsman whipped up in a Roman basement. Machined granite boxes in Egypt, mass-produced volcanic rock in Bolivia, flawless geometric spheres in the Costa Rican jungle, rust-proof iron chains swinging in the Himalayas, a differential gear computer in ancient Greece, chemical batteries in Iraq, bendable glass in ancient Rome. Every single one of these objects is a giant, glaring red flag waving violently in the face of our modern arrogance. They prove that progress is not a straight line. It is a fragile, unstable, and deeply vulnerable spiral. We sit on our couches, in our climate-controlled living rooms, perfectly convinced that we are standing at the absolute peak of the mountain. We think our knowledge is permanent, but the dirt beneath our feet is whispering to us that massive leaps in physics and engineering can be completely wiped out by a paranoid politician, a shift in the weather, an economic collapse, or just the brutal, unforgiving passage of time. We are not the first ones to figure this stuff out. We are just the ones who happen to be holding the baton right now. And if we aren't careful, if we don't realize how delicate our grip on this technology really is, centuries from now, some new civilization might be digging up the concrete foundations of our living rooms. They might brush the dirt off our cracked smartphone screens, look at our rusted laser saws, and ask the exact same haunting question: how could they possibly know so much? And how did they lose it all?